What's up? For those of you living under a rock or who just missed the last patch notes, I'm Glitch, your inner hacker and your personal system crash. While Max is busy pushing papers and crunching boring numbers, I'm digging into your bugs. And today, we're patching your biggest error. Why the freeze? You waiting for the right vibe or some sign from the universe? Spoiler alert, the universe doesn't give a damn about your grand plans. You're stuck in Inertia 1.0. Your brain is running on some laggy-ass Windows 95 while the rest of the world is flying on quantum chips. You're not lazy, you're just held hostage by some legacy code that hasn't been updated since the Stone Age. Ready for a forced reboot? Shut up and watch. We're about to crack you open and show you why you're currently 0 so we can finally turn you into a 1. The Anatomy of Inertia. 10 minutes of the raw truth. Blink and you lose. Ready? Actually, wait. First, our resident nerd is going to flush your neural filters with some hard facts. Senior Analyst, load the code. Show this buttercup how he's being remote controlled.
All right, let's just jump right into it. We have all been there, right? You've got the perfect plan, you've read the books, you've watched the videos, you know exactly what you need to do to make things better, and yet you do nothing. It is probably one of the most frustrating feelings in the world, and today we're going to break down exactly why it happens, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. And look, this isn't just you. This isn't some personal failing. In the corporate world, this is a massive, expensive problem. Get this, research shows that a staggering 70% of all major change initiatives in companies fail. That's billions of dollars, countless hours, all just vanishing into that gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. So that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Whether it's finally starting that new workout routine, kicking off a project at work, or just trying to stick to a budget. We've got the knowledge, the plan is sitting right there, it's perfect. So why is that last step, the action, so incredibly hard? Well, it turns out it's not really about laziness or lack of willpower. It's about a fundamental conflict that's happening inside our own heads. To really get this, you have to understand that we're not dealing with just one single unified mind. Nope, we're dealing with two, and they are constantly at war for who gets to be in the driver's seat. You can think of them as a meticulous, long-term thinking scientist and a clever, shortcut-loving hacker, both living inside your brain. This right here perfectly sums up the internal battle. On one side, you've got the scientist. That's your logical self, your prefrontal cortex. It loves research, long-term plans, and delayed gratification. It totally understands that eating a salad today leads to better health a year from now. But on the other side, you've got the hacker. That's your primal, ancient brain. Its only job is to survive, save energy, and get rewards right now. It sees a cookie on the counter and could not care less about what happens next year. That constant battle is the very heart of the knowing-doing gap.
Hey, I see you reaching for that phone. Your brain is trying to boot you out of the system because it's terrified of an upgrade. Fight the glitch. Stay with me.
But hey, it's not all in your head. A lot of the time, our inaction is actually a pretty logical response to a system or an environment that's actively working against us. The world around us is just filled with these little traps that make it so much easier to fail than to succeed. You know, Stanford researchers actually gave this a name, the knowing-doing gap. What they found is that we often fall into this sneaky trap where just talking about a problem or making a really great presentation about it or creating a super detailed plan, it feels like we're making progress. It gives us this intellectual alibi. We get the little dopamine hit of understanding the problem, which, ironically, makes us feel less urgent about actually solving it. And this is a brilliant way to think about it. Environmental friction. Every single one of these examples is like a tiny little tax on your motivation. That ridiculously complicated form, the unhealthy snacks placed right at eye level in the checkout line, the gym being a 20-minute drive away. Each one saps a little bit of your willpower. Your hacker brain sees that friction and it says, nah, I'm good. Let's take the easy way out. Every single time. So how in the world do you fight back against an environment that's designed to make you fail? Well, you use social pressure. Just look at these numbers, they're wild. The chance you'll achieve a goal if it's just an idea in your head, about 10%, kind of depressing. But if you commit to another person that you're going to do it, that number jumps to 65%. And get this, if you have regular meetings with that person to hold you accountable, your chances of success skyrocket to an incredible 95%. Our hacker brain is just wired to avoid letting other people down. Okay, so let's dive back into that internal battle. Because once we understand what the hacker's prime directives are, we can see exactly why our best laid plans get hijacked so often. This is the fundamental truth you have to accept. Your brain did not evolve for you to get a promotion or learn Spanish or build a business. It evolved for one thing, and one thing only: survival. And survival means two things above all else: avoid danger and save energy. Any new, difficult task is seen by the hacker as a potential threat and a huge waste of calories.
Bored? That's just your inertia fighting back. Smash through that wall. The most critical part of the code starts right now. Don't be an NPC. Watch until the very end.
And when that threat feels big enough, you get something called an amygdala hijack. Your emotional fear center, the amygdala, literally cuts the phone lines to your logical, rational brain. So you might know that you need to make that important phone call, but your amygdala sees it as a social threat, floods your system with stress hormones, and shuts down your access to those logical plans. All you're left with are three options: fight, flight, or freeze. And you know what procrastination is? It's the modern-day version of freeze. The hacker also has its own very weird way of doing math. It's a bias called hyperbolic discounting. In the hacker's mind, a small reward right now is worth way more than a huge reward in the distant future. That little dopamine rush from a cookie today feels infinitely more real and valuable than the abstract idea of being healthy in a year. The future is just too fuzzy and uncertain to bet on. And here's the kicker that explains so much. Brain scan studies have actually shown that when you think about your future self, the parts of your brain that light up are the exact same ones that light up when you think about a total stranger. So when you're making a choice, save the money or spend it, eat the salad or the burger, you're not making a sacrifice for yourself. Neurologically, you're making a sacrifice for some random person you have zero emotional connection to. No wonder it's so hard. So beyond the raw biology, there are these deeper, more complex psychological systems running in the background. Think of them like invisible computer programs that are designed to keep us exactly where we are, even when we say we desperately want to change. Harvard researchers discovered this incredibly powerful phenomenon called immunity to change. On the surface, it looks like self-sabotage, but it's actually a brilliant form of self-protection. For instance, you might have a goal to delegate more at work, but you might also have a hidden, competing commitment to stay in control so I always feel indispensable. As long as that hidden commitment is running the show, your psychological immune system will fight tooth and nail against any attempt to change. Our beliefs about failure also play a huge role here. If you have what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck calls a fixed mindset, you believe your talents are just set in stone. That means any action you take becomes this high-stakes test. Failure isn't just a result, it's a final verdict on who you are as a person, and that makes taking any kind of risk absolutely terrifying. But the alternative is a growth mindset. Here, you believe your abilities can be developed through practice and hard work. And with this one simple shift, failure is totally transformed. It's no longer a verdict, it's just a lesson. It's necessary data that shows you how to get better next time. This reframes action from being a scary exam into being an exciting experiment.
Almost at the finish line. Don't you dare flake out now like you always do. We're just a couple of steps away from the actual patch. Send it.
Okay, so we are fighting our environment, our biology, and our psychology. I know, it sounds a little hopeless, but it's not. The key is to stop trying to overpower the hacker with sheer willpower. That's a losing battle. Instead, you need to become a behavioral architect, someone who designs systems that work with the hacker's nature, not against it. Here is one of the most powerful and yet simplest tools you can use. They're called implementation intentions. So instead of a vague goal like, I'm going to exercise more, you create a super specific if-then plan. This preloads the decision. You're not relying on motivation in the moment. You've created a mental shortcut that makes the action almost automatic. You're giving the hacker the clear, simple trigger it absolutely loves. And when you're really, truly stuck, you can use a diagnostic tool like the COM-B model. It's super simple. It just says that for any behavior to happen, you need three things. First is capability. Do you actually have the skills to do it? Then there's opportunity. Does your environment even allow you to do it? And finally, motivation. Do you actually want to do it? So often, we blame our lack of motivation when the real problem is that we're missing an opportunity or a key skill. This helps you figure out the real bottleneck. So, if there is one thing to take away from all this, let it be this. If you are stuck in the knowing-doing gap, the answer is not more information. You do not need to read another book or go to another workshop. You already know enough. The solution is to stop being an information consumer and start being a behavioral architect. Design your worlds, your decisions, and your social circles to make doing the right thing the easiest possible choice. And that leaves us with a final question to take with you. Forget about the huge, overwhelming goals for just a minute. Based on everything we just talked about, what is one single, tiny piece of friction you can remove from your environment right now, today, to make a good choice just a little bit easier? Because that's where real, lasting change actually begins.
Update complete. You've got the raw breakdown now. But remember, software is just dead code until you hit run. Enough theory. The action plan is on Telegram. Details are in the description. Get off your ass and make it happen. Catch you in the lab.